In today's drawing, we're going to be looking at an isometric cube. Isometric cube is an object that appears to be three-dimensional, drawn in a two-dimensional space. You're going to notice that we're going to start off with a cube that has this magenta box going around it. You're going to notice that we have some circles drawn, some text that is laying on a given surface, okay, whether it be the top, the right, or the left. You're going to notice that our dimensions are also in line with our object. Okay. Now, looking at my drawing area itself, you can see I've done a couple things. First thing I've done is I've taken my command box and I've just slid it over to the side here. I've also taken that UCS and I've turned that off. So let's go up here, view. I've turned off my view cube. I always call this a UCS, I don't know why, but it's actually my view cube. So I turned that off, and then I've also turned off my coordinates down here. So you really don't need them. If you want to keep them on there, you can keep them on, okay, if you like that or not. I just like to sometimes have a cleaner looking screen for you guys. And if you don't need the navigation bar, you can get rid of the navigation bar by simply turning it off also. Let's go ahead and come up here and let's first off create some layers. I know I'm going to need a dimension layer. I know I'm going to need a magenta layer. So let's go and layer properties and let's create two new layers. Let's call the first layer dimension. Let's change the color of it to our standard green and click OK. Let's select on our second layer that we just created. I'm going to select on it one time, pause for a moment, select on it again, and it'll now let me change it. And so I'm just going to call this guide. I'm going to change the color of it to magenta, click OK. Change my line type to dashed 0.5. If this is not loaded, you can always go and load and find it in the list. Okay, and then you would click OK. And I'm going to click OK there. So now it's dashed 0.5. I'm going to close this out. I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to change my layer from my zero layer to my guide layer. And I'm going to simply click on this little sheet over here. I double clicked on it and then it moved my check mark. The next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start looking at the object that I need to draw. I want this object to be perfectly centered on my drawing area, but I need to do something first in order to allow me to draw this object. Right now our grid is set up so that it is in your rectangular format. Perfect 90s, okay, perfect horizontal, perfect vertical lines, and so on. What we're going to do is we're going to set up our grid so that it is more conducive to what we are drawing, which is an isometric object. So let's go ahead and come down to this grid, and I'm going to right click on it and go grid settings. Over on the left hand side, I'm going to change this grid snap type to isometric and click OK. You're going to notice that my grid has now changed. You're going to notice my cursor has now changed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some F keys. Now, the F keys are located at the very top of your keyboard. And what they are little mini shortcuts that are within AutoCAD. So sometimes if I come down here, you'll notice it says F7 in parentheses. That does not mean to push the key letter F and then find the number key of 7, but rather look at the very top of your screen and you'll see what are known as F keys. There's F1 through F12. I'm going to use the F5 key, okay, and you're going to notice, watch what happens here when I just hover over this. Right now I'm on something called isoplane top. I'm going to hit F5. Now I'm going to move away. I'm going to come over here again, and what's it say now? It says isoplane right. Hit the F5 key again. You're going to notice my cursor changes again. I'm going to come down here and look at it, and it now says isoplane left. So we're going to be messing around with the F5 key to change which type of line or circle we're going to need to create. Now I want this object to be centered, so I'm going to start with our typical draw a line from this corner here down to this corner right here. Right click, cancel. I'm going to come over here to my object snaps, object snap settings. I'm going to select all, make sure that these two objects are highlighted, object snap on, and object tracking on. Notice F11, F3. Okay. So now I should be able to get the center point of a line. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start drawing my cube. And this point right here is actually the center of this cube. Okay. I know it's hard to believe, but it is. So let's go ahead and start drawing this. Line command from my center, which is right here, and I'm going to be in my polar right or iso right manner. Okay, I can also do this in my, if I have, let's see here, actually I need to do one other thing here. I need to go down to here and I need to click on snap mode for grid, so that's F9. You can also click on the icon. And notice what it does. It's going to snap it to my grid. Okay. There's another setting I can do is ortho. So I'm going to turn ortho on. And now notice it locks my object to that specific grid marking. Okay. So I'm going to actually come down here. And I don't really need the snap mode. So I'll turn snap mode off. It'll just... You can keep it on. There's nothing wrong with it on. But it can get a little confusing. So I'm just going to take... I had a choice of using snap mode or ortho. I'm going to choose ortho over snap. I think it's a little bit nicer to work with. And I'm going to type in a dimension here, which is 3. So I'm going to hit 3, enter. And then I'm going to give it a direction going back 3. And I just hit the 3 again. And lastly, oh boy, look at this. I'm all messed up. So let me back up here. I think I did something wrong. So 3, enter. 3, enter. And then I'm going to go 3, enter. Now I didn't do anything wrong, but it's an optical illusion because I had this grid right here, this angled line, and you think immediately, hey, shouldn't this line up to that point? And the answer is no. It's not always going to line up. It might line up, but it's not always going to. So I'm gonna, now that I've got that, I'm going to just delete that line. I don't need it anymore. So I was in ISO top to draw that object. Watch what happens if I try to draw a horizontal line. I can't. It won't let me. It will not physically let me draw a horizontal line until I hit the F5 key. Now, did I say horizontal line? I meant a vertical line. I apologize. Okay. No matter what, I can't draw horizontal lines in an ISO grid. But notice I can go to the right, but it won't let me go to the left. So I have to change my grid again by hitting F5 so that I get that ISO left plane showing up. Okay. So let's go back up to line. I'm going to pick this end point right here, come down 3, over 3, and close it. Hit the escape key, space bar. I'm going to pick this point right here. Oh, it won't let me go that way, so I need to hit F5, 3, enter. Won't let me go up, so I need to hit F5 again, 3, enter. So that is how we draw that part of the cube. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to switch over to a different layer. I'm going to go to my 0 layer. I'm going to go into my line command. I'm going to pick a line from here to here. Hit escape. A line from here to here. Hit escape. And a line from here to here and hit escape. And you're going to see why I'm going to do that in 2 seconds. Next object I want to do is I want to create these circles. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because we're not actually creating a circle. We're going to create something known as an isocircle. Now, you would think that you would go into the circle command and just simply draw a circle. So here's my circle. It's asking for the center point. I'm going to pick my center, and I'm going to try drawing my circle. Well, that doesn't look right. So what we need to do instead is we need to create an ellipse that will work for us. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go into the ellipse command, E-L-L-I-P-S-E, and it helps if you spell it right, E-L-L-I, ellipse. Now it's giving us choices. It's saying specify endpoint of the ellipse, or do we want to create an arc, a center, or an isocircle? Isocircle sounds like something that Mr. Q just mentioned before. So I'm going to click on isocircle. You're going to notice that the isocircle, the I was highlighted. Okay, it was blue and it was also capital. So I can go ahead and hit the I for a shortcut if I wanted to. Now it's asking me to specify center point. I'm going to pick my center right here. And notice it now draws an isometric circle. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure it's on the correct plane. Okay, so if I bring it over, that doesn't look like it's on the right plane. That's definitely not on the right plane. That one looks good. So I'm just going to bring it over and let it touch on one of these snap points. Spacebar again, find the center point. There's my center. And I screwed up. Let's try that again. Spacebar, I, enter, follow your own rules, Mr. Q. Center point, change the orientation so that it looks correct. And then you can bring it over and you can just touch it against one of those snap points. Let's go ahead and do it one more time. Spacebar, find the center point. Did it again. Spacebar, I. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, F5, F5, and then let's just let it go to a snap point there. And I no longer need these 3 reference lines. So now I've created this cube with these circles. Now I got all excited and I forgot to do this WS autosave. And I got to select the enter 1 for the value and come up here to the start and save as, and make sure you're going to your 900 drive. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our text in. Let's try going ahead and using the top first. So I'm going to come over here, and there's a couple things I'm going to do. First, I'm going to click on this text style under this annotate. Manage text style. I don't want to use this ugly font, so I'm going to find a nicer font. I'm going to find one that's called Broadway. There's Broadway. Got a fanciness to it. I'm going to change it so that the height of it is 0.5. The oblique angle is 30. You can also sometimes modify it so it's negative 30 depending on what you need, but we're going to leave it at 30. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit apply, set current, and close. So now that I've done that, now I can come up here to my text, single line text, and I'm going to follow the prompt. I'm going to move this over so we can pay attention to what it's asking us for prompts. Specify start point. I'm just going to pick right here. Specify rotation angle. Now it's going to ask us what value do you want. Now it might say 0 here for our default. I'm going to try doing negative 30 to start with. Click and enter. And it's going to ask me for my text. And I'm going to type in the following. T-O-P. And then I'm going to hit escape. Oops, try that again. Shouldn't have hit escape. I should have hit enter. Rotation angle is negative 30. Enter. And then TOP. Enter. And then just click off. Hit escape then. Now I want this to be centered. So what I'm going to do is let's go under the properties of this item. So we're going to click on properties. Select my item. And I want to do under justify, under the text here, change this so that it is middle center. Alright. And then I don't believe I need this anymore. I could change my height if I needed to. I could change my rotation if I needed to. And I also have the ability to change my obliquing angle if I need to. But I don't think I do. I think I'm good. So let's close that out again. I'm going to draw one line from here to here. That way I can get this text to move over so that it is perfectly centered. Oops, Control Z. Select that and delete that. Okay, so that's a little bit more centered for us. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I'm not going to rewrite the rules, but I'm going to take and copy and paste. I'm going to put one item there. And I'm going to paste it one more time. And I'm going to put another item over here. This time I'm going to change the text so that it is now left. Change this one here so it's now right. And what we're going to do is we're going to go on the properties again. Just typing in properties. And we're going to look down here and we're going to change our, let's see, our rotation angle. Let's try just doing 30 and see what it looks like. Ooh, that looks good. So that's good for that one. Now, this one here, I'm going to hit escape, left click on the left. This time I'm going to scroll down to my obliquing angle and I'm going to change that to a negative 30. Click off and then there we go. So those look good. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these centered a little bit better. So I'm just going to draw a line from here to here. Move this object over there. Boom. Select it, delete it. Take this here, go from here to here. Select it and get it so it lines up. Boom. Good. Delete that line off. Now I'm going to do a Control S just as a force save so that way I know that everything is saved. Alright, so next thing you're going to notice is that my text down below is completely messed up. And that's because we hit the obliquing angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here to annotate. Click on my top text edit. Manage styles. And I'm going to simply take that obliquing angle and change it back to a 0 and hit apply and close. And it should change all of your text back down below. If it doesn't, you might have to just double click on the text and then hit escape. And then it should bring it back for you. So now the next thing that we need to do is, while we're down here and we're thinking of it, let's go ahead and change in our text here. So I'm going to change it so that it is isometric cube, enter, scale is 1 space in equals 1 space in. Click off, name, period is going to be 9, date, and then you're going to do the plate number, which is going to be 06. Alright, I would make sure I go up to the save, just be on the safe side. Auto save's nice, but it's not a thing that you want to rely on 100%. So I just go ahead and come up to the save button. So last thing that we need to do is we need to create our dimensions. So I'm going to change my layer to my dimension layer. And then I am going to do the following. I'm going to go ahead and use a linear dimension. And I'm going to pick this point right here to this point right here. And you're going to notice it's all screwed up. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to hit escape. Alright, so now next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to modify our text, because that the dimensional text was all screwed up when we just looked at that. So let's go under the standard here and manage standard again. We're going to change it now so that it is Arial. We're going to change our text height to our standard of 1/8, and then we're just going to go ahead and click apply and close. Now it did a little bit of something to this. If we need to, we'll go back and we'll fix that in a little while. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to try doing our dimensions again. So let's go into our linear dimension and let's just try putting in one of our dimensions here to here. Oh yeah, that looks so much better. A linear dimension again from here to here. That's not going to work. So let's try doing something different. Let's try, instead of going linear, let's try doing aligned. Clicking from here to here. That looks better. And then let's do one more. And that one is going to go, let's see, where am I again? Aligned again. From here to here. So now, next thing that we need to do is we need to make it so that these are, number one, representative of this number that you're seeing. You're not seeing anything after the decimal places. And we need to make sure that we are obliquing our dimensions. Alright, so in order to get these dimensions to go oblique, we need to type in the following. Dim edit. Dim edit. Now it's going to ask us, what type of dimensioning do you want to do? Do you want to do home, new, rotate, oblique? Hey, oblique is what we want to do. And we want to take all of these dimensions and we want to oblique them. Angle, let's try 30. That looks pretty good. Okay. Let's take this one here, and it didn't like it. It doesn't want to do what we want it to do. So let's try doing that dim edit one more time. Dim edit's pretty smart. It will only allow you to oblique in certain directions. So I'm going to just do this here, select that, enter, -30. And there we go. So last thing that we're going to do is we're going to just adjust these dimensions so that they're not in our title block. Okay, I'm going to hit F5 to get it so it moves correctly. Shrink that one in a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now the dimensions are in different locations than what you see in this drawing, but that's okay. All right, I just moved that one from here over to here. There's nothing wrong with putting your dimension in a different spot so long as the dimension is still dimensioning true. Like I could put this dimension up here. Okay, I could put this dimension up here. But one of the things that you want to try to do is you want to try to keep your dimensions so that they don't interfere with the drawing. So they wouldn't interfere with the drawing over here, and it doesn't interfere with the drawing over here. Actually, I think this looks a little bit nicer than in comparison to this one here, but either way is correct. So now last thing we need to do is we need to modify each of these texts so that they are just reading 3.0 and that's it. So let's type in the following: dim style, and enter, modify, primary units, and then let's go ahead and change off our round off. I'm sorry, our precision to 0. Our round off would still be just like that. Yeah. So we keep that. Then we click OK, set current, and close. Now, if it does not change it, that's okay. What I can do is I can double click on, actually I'm sorry, not double click, right click, and I can go under properties. And I can actually change it in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find something that says precision. Primary units, decimal, round off. Okay, we're getting close. Here's precision. So let's drop that down to 0. Let's do the same thing for this one here and this one here while we've got that menu opened. Let's scroll down. Let's see here. Primary units, precision. Change that to 0. Alright. Now, I've had mixed results lately of using the dim style command. Sometimes it works for modifying these dimensions. Other times it doesn't. I don't know if it's something with the version of AutoCAD that we're currently using or what it is. But normally if I do dim style and then I change something and I go set current, it automatically updates everything. But if you ever run into that problem where it doesn't update for you, now you know a little trick under using the properties, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to move these a little bit so that they look a little bit better. All right. Now notice what happened. It changed my text. That's okay. Honestly. Okay. And that's something that was in our settings. That was my mistake. I should have set things up a little bit different so that it would change it. But now me just moving them around and getting them centered a little bit better, it changes the font. Okay, but I wanted to show you that you can change the fonts. So that's that. That's how you create an isometric drawing